What's good, y'all? It's your boy Ross back at it again with another video. So we're gonna check out why WWE Smackdown received some backlash, why WWE censored a WWE star, and a wrestler apparently passed away, and Miro's potential return in the WWE, and other wrestling related news. I appreciate all the love and support y'all shown on the channel. Let's see what's going on, what Wrestlemania has for us today, man.
Going on, guys? It is Wrestlemania here, back with some more news. Join us now as we look at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including the WWE legend blamed for the awful SmackDown, The Rock reveals the original plans for the Wrestlemania reveal, why WWE were forced to censor SmackDown, Jeff Hardy wants to leave WWE on a good note, WWE are reserving Bloodline members, an indie wrestling star passes away in a tragic accident, former WWE superstar spotted at TNA, Carmella officially gone from WWE, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out our new videos on Wrestlemania XL. And now let's do the intro and get straight into our first story. That first story looks at a WWE legend blamed for the awful SmackDown. At top of today's news is a report that fans are flooding social media with complaints about the Road Dogg's role in the 21st February SmackDown, an episode that received, well, very mixed reviews at best. Now, fans are claiming this to be the worst SmackDown of the Triple H era, and they weren't holding back on Twitter as well. As one user wrote, SmackDown literally feels like government mandate filler episodes for WWE up until actual episodes of Raw come up. Is it that bad? As we noted in our analysis of the...
I ain't gonna lie to you, Raw has been the better show in my opinion. The matches have been pretty good on Raw as well. Not to say there aren't good matches on SmackDown, but I'm just gonna be honest with you. It's that 3 hours format. SmackDown was already the roster that wasn't as stacked as Monday Night Raw. Now, granted, they got Drew McIntyre over there on SmackDown and Damian Priest, which is great additions, but also at the same time, it's a 3 hour show, a 3 hour weekly show where not all the stars are on this show. So a lot of times you're going to get rematches and variations of matches we've already seen. So I honestly, I can't wait for them to go back to 2 hours. 2 hours is, in my opinion, will be better for the roster that they have. That's just my personal opinion. You know, you get in, get your stuff in, and then you out. You know, a 3 hour show, you're forced to put on matches and filler segments that honestly people may not be interested in or care to see. So
The Rock's extended segment with Cody Rhodes, the segment dragged at times and should have aired at the end of SmackDown, as its position in the early third hour sapped the show's remaining momentum.
Yeah, I will agree it should have aired at the end, because that was a perfect ending, a perfect way to cut off the show. Like, what the hell just happened? What you know, the way that ended, and then they went, I believe it was a tag team match. I think it was Pretty Deadly versus DIY. And not to say that these teams aren't great and can't produce a great match, but everybody was already focused on what they just heard The Rock say to Cody. That would have been a perfect way to end the show off like, oh shit, what the hell is going to happen at Elimination Chamber? What is going on here? That would have been a perfect way to end off the show. So I do agree with that sentiment.
Again, how do you follow such an insane promo with a DIY match? A Ringside News explained why fans are blaming Road Dogg for the show and the segment. Earlier this week, reports confirmed that Road Dogg had been named co-head writer of SmackDown, marking his return to the brand's creative team for the first time since his previous run from 2016 to 2019. However, if fans had hoped for a fresh start, they were sorely disappointed. The Rock segment saw the final boss repeatedly praise Cody Rhodes before offering to help him fulfill all his dreams and reach levels even higher than The Rock has. Now, the only problem was that The Rock said he wanted Cody's soul in exchange, as some fans were confused by the segment and there were complaints it went on too long, criticizing The Rock for one of his weakest promos ever. However, critics need to remember that this is Road Dogg's first week back, and it's unknown how much he even contributed to the show, but it seems that fans are aiming the blame in the wrong direction, as fans looking to play the blame game might be interested to learn who actually wrote Friday's interaction between The Rock and Cody Rhodes. Fightful Select is reporting that Christian Scoville, who the site notes often writes Cody's segments, was listed as the segment's writer. Now, does this absolve the Road Dogg of any blame, or even Triple H, at least in the eyes of some fans, or should he be held responsible for everything that goes to air? Next up, The Rock.
And here's the thing: it's always going to be the blame game, and this is kind of the era we're in, where people will blame Triple H or The Rock or whoever's involved, and that's fine. You want to, put the blame to why a certain segment didn't appeal to you personally. Cool. Me, I enjoyed the segment between The Rock and Cody. Was it kind of long-winded? For sure, but it's a 3-hour show, so I'd rather them take their fucking time. Because, I mean, that's the main reason why a lot of people were interested in this show, was to see what The Rock was going to say, and was there going to be any kind of follow-up from what we've heard from The Rock last year in relations to Cody Rhodes. That's where the excitement and the intrigue was for this entire 3-hour show. So I personally enjoyed it. I think it left more questions unanswered, and it has pretty much everyone that's involved in the IWC or care about, WrestleMania this year and WWE as a whole. It has people buzzing, trying to figure out what's going to happen.
Reveals the WWE's original plans for WrestleMania's reveal. WWE fans know that WrestleMania 42 will take place in New Orleans, Louisiana, thanks to The Rock announcing it on this week's SmackDown. However, that wasn't the WWE's original plans for the announcement, as during the post-show press conference on Friday, the final boss revealed that we were going to be part of the Super Bowl and make the announcement at the Super Bowl. We had a couple of hiccups that we couldn't make that happen. And you may recall rumblings before this year's Super Bowl that WWE was going to use the blockbuster sporting event to announce its version of the Super Bowl. Would they have been better announcing it on the grand stage? I'm sure WWE are kicking themselves, as this year's Super Bowl averaged a record audience of 127.7 million.
Yeah, bro. If they would have, I'm sure they would have shelled out some money to announce that at the Super Bowl. That would have been a very big thing for those who are interested in WrestleMania, or maybe for those who hadn't watched WrestleMania in a minute. Hey, you know what, man? I haven't seen WrestleMania in a minute. It's gonna be in New Orleans. I may want to check that out. So I can understand them like, damn, man, we kind of missed an opportunity on that.
Viewers, that could have been a lot of eyes on the WWE product. Next up, why WWE was forced to censor SmackDown. A WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton has been on fire lately, proving she has what it takes to be at the top of the WWE's women's division. However, on SmackDown, she was involved in two embarrassing moments. The first is when both Nia Jax and Candice LeRae failed to catch her dive from the top rope to the outside, which thankfully didn't end horribly, but the second led to WWE having to censor the show with a black screen. As when Tiffany was near the turnbuckle, her top attire slipped, leading to a much-needed adjustment. WWE managed to see the slip and quickly censored the show with a black screen. But WWE censors were not so quick, however, when The Rock dropped some of the usual profanity during his promo. Next up, Jeff Hardy wants to leave
The Rock, he's just going to say whatever he wants. Doesn't matter what network, because he's The Rock. That's literally what it is. It ain't because of nothing else. No, most of the WWE stars can't do that. He can. He's The Rock.
WWE on a good note. Now is Jeff Hardy looking to right the wrongs of his past? Jeff's brother Matt, who will be joining him when they appear on this Tuesday's NXT to Battle No Quarter Catch Crew's Miles Bourne and Tavian Heights, commented about the return on the latest episode of Matt Hardy's podcast. He's very happy to be going back, and I feel he wants to right the wrongs. He wants to leave on a good note, no more erratic behavior. He wants to go back and show them who he is. And Matt suggested WWE may have taken a wait-and-see approach with Jeff when he and Matt returned to TNA. I think one of the reasons when we did this whole exchange going on, I think one of the reasons they probably waited a little while to pull the trigger and do something with Jeff and I was to just kind of see where Jeff was, just to make sure that Jeff is good.
Yeah.
Now, while some critics believe WWE is doing the same with Tessa Blanchard, a wrestler that a promotion is reportedly interested in by having Blanchard compete in TNA to see whether there's any issues before bringing her into WWE. Next up, WWE
Which, honestly, that's a fair point to have, because Jeff has had his issues in the past, and it didn't go so smoothly when he left WWE this recent time. But it seems like Jeff is on the straight path. It seems like he's doing good, and that's all that matters. If he wants to be able to get one more run in WWE, I'm not going to be the person to say, nah, he shouldn't. I'm all for it. I'm all for it, man. And it's going to be dope to see them in NXT, Jeff and Matt, in a tag team match. So I think me and Dub are going to stream that, because it's the Hardys, bro. You can't not love the Hardys. We grew up on them. So if Jeff is able to come back, maybe if Matt wants to come back as well, maybe get a good run in the tag team division, I'm all for it. Or maybe have Jeff do a solo run for a little bit. I'm all for it. As long as his mental is good, that's all I care about. Because at the end of the day, he's given us everything he can with his body and mind in that wrestling ring. He has nothing left to prove, in my opinion, in WWE anymore. But if he wants to go back and do one more run, I'm all for it, man. I just want him to be mentally good. Because at the end of the day, when this wrestling is done for him, when he finally retires, he still got to have that mental in a good place. And, hopefully that's the case going forward.
Serving Bloodline members? Or when are potential Bloodline members Lance Anoa'i and Hikuleo gonna debut in WWE? With tensions rising between Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu, some fans are curious whether Solo is going to bring in help to deal with the Samoan werewolf. PW Insider's Mike Johnson discussed Hikuleo's status during a PW Insider Q&A, explaining that Hikuleo has been busy at the WWE Performance Center. But Johnson did interestingly point out how all the Bloodline stuff has been methodically planned out, so it makes sense. Johnson added that Lance Anoa'i is likely in the same situation, as WWE doesn't want to throw either talent onto television until they have a solid plan for them. The current buzz is that Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu are set to square off at WrestleMania 41, so it wouldn't be surprised if one or both talents show up before the show of shows.
I'm all for it. I am all for it. Jacob and Solo, I think that's going to be great. And, ultimately, I can see Jacob going over there at WrestleMania. I can't wait to see his entrance at WrestleMania. I know it's going to be dope, and he's over. He's getting over every week at every show. They're chanting his name. He's him. And the crazy thing is, he's not a heel or a face in a sense. He's just someone that likes to beat up on people and whip people's asses, bro. He wants to hurt people, and I'm all for it. I'm all for it. They got something in Jacob Fatu.
Next up, TNA censoring Tessa Blanchard. Now, as current TNA wrestler Tessa Blanchard continues to deal with allegations of past racist behavior and bullying, fans and reporters want to know what's going on and why TNA brought the controversial figure back. A new claim from podcaster Mike Gilbert of the Mike and JD show alleges that TNA won't let reporters ask Tessa about the allegations. Gilbert discussed this on his podcast, saying, TNA, they're doing a really bad thing with this Tessa. And what I mean is they're putting her around in the media in all these different markets, and they're telling people to interview her, but they can't talk about the allegations. Mike went on to explain they're playing this game with the media, and a lot of people, two people I know specifically, have said F you. Like, I'm not going to be dictated on what questions I can and cannot ask Tessa, so if I can't ask her hard questions, I'm not interviewing her at all. I don't want to interview anybody else because TNA is not in the position they're trying to be. Now, whilst this story hasn't been confirmed, it's not the first time since someone has questioned wrestling promotions' interactions with the media. For example, some critics have accused WWE of using journalists who ask softball questions at their press conferences. While it's not unusual for celebrities to grant interviews with the understanding that some questions are off limits, you can be sure in controversial cases like Blanchard's, who has denied all the accusations, that reporters are gonna want answers and call people or companies out when they're censored. Next up,
I think I recently seen the clip. I think it was in TNA recently where the crowd was saying, "You're a racist." Like when she was coming out there to talk or something like that on Twitter. I'm like, bruh. They're running with it. You might as well run with it in the sense of the crowd doesn't really care for her. I don't even know if you would call it. If it kind of feels like go away heat. Like, why are you here heat? But at the end of the day, I don't know the extent of the situation. And we really don't know if, there were some public some apologies made behind closed doors. We don't know. But I will say this, TNA is still kind of running with it. Even though they don't want people to ask those questions, they are more than likely, they're not tripping too much over the crowd, basically calling her a racist at any point. At every point they get a chance, they calling her a racist. So it's like they're playing into it, but they don't want people to really dive deep into the questioning. So I don't know. That's a little gray area right there.
Miro returns to the ring. A former AEW superstar, Miro, didn't waste any time returning to the ring, as several news sites are reporting the Bulgarian brute competed in Qatar not long after his AEW release. Wrestling News reported Miro made his return to the ring on February 22nd at the Qatar Pro Wrestling event in Doha, Qatar. He faced AAA Mega Champion Alberto Del Rio.
Wow.
Lucha Libre Online tweeted about the bout. Translated from Spanish, AAA Mega Champion Alberto Del Rio was Miro's first opponent in his return to the ring, and it happened in QPW in Doha, Qatar as part of the Super Slam 3 Super event, which will be available on March 2nd. Now, this is actually the first match that Miro's had since December 2023.
Wow.
A rumor has it that WWE Creative is working on a plan for his return to the WWE. Given all the preparation being made for WrestleMania 41, it'll be interesting to see if he returns before or after Mania.
Yeah, bro. I mean, Rusev Day was fucking over as shit. It was. Vince just didn't know what to do with it, or didn't really care, but it was over. And then, I don't know what the fuck they did with him in AEW. I don't know. I don't know. It's crazy you get misused in WWE, go to AEW, they do a little bit of greatness with you, and then they misuse you again there. Obviously, injuries get involved and stuff like that. It's just, he's had a really unfortunate run in the major, pro wrestling scene. Hopefully, if he does come back to WWE, hopefully they treat him right, give him something that the fans can really, truly appreciate, and they give him a good run. Outside of, the stuff that he was doing with John Cena, which I was enjoying, but, we've seen that before. The typical foreigner going against the American, and, the Americans have to defeat the foreigner. I mean, he was in a major feud with him, so I'm not going to take that away. But then we know how it ended with the whole Bobby Lashley and Lana situation, and that was just awful, bro.
Assuming he does return. Next up, 2 AEW talents ready to return. Now, it appears that 2 talents in AEW are chomping at the bit to return to the promotion after an extended injury and illness-related absences. Fightful Select Sean Ross Sapp is reporting Luchasaurus, who's been recovering from double pneumonia, and Sky Blue, who's been on the mend since a broken ankle, are medically cleared. Those familiar with their status say that both are close, but noted that being cleared by the doctors and cleared by AEW are 2 different things. AEW had operated on the assumption they wouldn't get Sky Blue back until spring. Next up, Isla Dawn addresses WWE release. Isla Dawn is letting fans know what she thinks of a recent release from WWE. Dawn, who held the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship with Alba Fire, released a video.
One of the sad facts of life is that you won't hear all the good things that people have to say about you until you're gone. Everyone bottles up their emotions only to pour them over your lifeless frame when it is just a little too late. Oh my God, I'm going to miss her. Oh my God, she was a champion. She was a star. She did not deserve this.
Afio also held the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship and is a lot.
I kind of like what she did there because, I mean, you really see this a lot. Because not to say that people weren't talking about her when she was, on WWE television, but they weren't talking about her as much as they were when she was released. And that's usually how it happens. Not to say that it was right. We don't know the real extent of why, but I like that she brought that up. Like, people pour out their love and emotions for you when you're gone, but when you're there, they don't really say too much sometimes. And that's a true statement.
Longest reigning NXT UK Women's Champion in the now defunct promotion added.
Did I deserve it? No. But I didn't need it. I was bleeding out, and this was the pressure and the gauze. I was crashing. This is the thing that revived me. My heart stopped on the table, but someone down there sent me back up, knowing that it wasn't quite my time. The White Witch is gone. The unholy enchantress, buried in the grave. 2-time tag team champion. Ashes in an urn. But don't grieve for me. Isla Dawn's not dead yet.
Isla Dawn is not dead just yet. The 32-year-old talent should have no problem finding work given her resume and ring skill. Sad news as an indie wrestling star passes away in a tragic accident. Now sad news to report as the wrestling world has lost one of its own. Slam Wrestling's Greg Oliver reports that indie star Eric Priest has lost his life in a motorcycle accident. According to Oliver, Mr. Priest debuted in 2000 after training with Ace Steel and Danny Dominion, and most of his success came in the US Midwest. The promotion AAW Wrestling tweeted the news, "It's with great sadness that we report former AAW Heritage Champion and Chicago legend Eric Priest has passed away." Eric Priest was a staple of Chicago wrestling for many years and ruled the early 2000s as the guy in Chicago. He helped many along the way and helped shape what pro wrestling in the Chicagoland area is today. Whether you knew him as the underwear model or the gold standard, you will be missed. Everyone at AAW sends their condolences to his family and friends. He will truly be missed. Eric Priest was 50 years old at the time of his passing. We here at Wrestlemania also want to extend our condolences to the friends and family of Eric Priest. Next up, a former WWE superstar spotted at TNA Wrestling. Nor is former Legado del Fantasma member Elektra Lopez heading to TNA. That's a question Lopez fans might be asking following a Lucha Libre Online report that Lopez was spotted backstage at TNA's 21st February Impact taping. WWE recently released Lopez and she's had a 90-day non-compete clause, which means she can't work anywhere right away. Next up, a new trademark for WWE.
Which is crazy because I think they had a segment the week before with her with Legado del Fantasma. Like she was just on television, and then right after that SmackDown episode aired, she was gone. They released her. So
WWE star, now is current NXT superstar Soul Rocker about to get a new name. A Wrestle2 PC is reporting WWE has filed to trademark Calix, which could be the new ring name for Soul Rooker, whose real name is Calix Harmony Hampton, and could this be a new identity? What do you guys think of the name? And finally, Carmella officially gone from WWE? Last but not least, it appears WWE superstars' days with Carmella are officially over. A recent report indicated WWE did not renew Mella's contract and that she was now a free agent. This and the former SmackDown Women's Champion removing all mentions of WWE from social media added weight to the story, but now a new move by WWE should eliminate all doubt as Carmella has now been officially moved to the WWE alumni section. But there you have it, folks, the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know.
Very interesting. Well, I guess maybe they came to an agreement, like they weren't going to renew the contract or whatever the case may have been. And wishing her the best of luck in whatever she decides to do. But I'm sure she will be fine. I'm sure she's made some other business ventures. And, maybe she stays in wrestling, pro wrestling, and goes to another company. Who knows? But it's just one of those things where, sometimes it just doesn't work out with, being in WWE anymore, and you end up going your separate ways and doing something that works out better for you. Not everybody's meant to be there forever, or a WWE lifer per se. So, but comment down below, let me know some other wrestling related news or videos y'all want me to check out. I definitely will. Appreciate all love, support. Road to 150K. Appreciate y'all kicking it with me. See you on the next one. Peace.